Hello, good evening. Welcome to Nerd Night. My name is Steve, and I'm a magician. Now, I've gotten to introduce myself that way professionally for the last 30 years. And I got to admit, it still feels kind of cool. Yeah. You know, I've been doing magic since I was a kid. And whenever I introduce myself as a magician, people always ask me questions. And here's the top 2 questions. Number 1, hi, I'm Steve. I'm a magician. Oh yeah? What instrument do you play? I get that a lot more than you'd think. Number 2, people say, how do you do the trick where you saw a lady in half? Or how does the trick work where you make an elephant float? Or whatever card trick they've seen recently. And I've got to tell you that after studying magic for 30 years, it's actually more interesting of a question to ask why the trick works instead of how it works. Because if I told you how the trick works, it's really not that interesting. I'll tell you a secret. Every magic trick works using duct tape and a paper clip. No kidding. No kidding. The sawing a lady in half, duct tape and a paper clip. Floating elephant, there's some Velcro involved in that one, but it's basically duct tape and a paper clip. So it's actually more interesting to ask how it works. What is it that takes a simple trick and in the minds of the spectators makes it magic? And that's what interests me. So, you know, magicians like to keep their secrets very close to them. We don't like to tell how a trick works because it's not magic anymore. That's the main reason. It takes it somewhere else. It's not fun anymore if you know how it works. So every magician, you know, has a secret bookcase in their house, in case you don't know that. And behind that's a secret room where the magic is kept. So tonight, I'm going to take you behind that secret bookcase with me and show you my special magic room. But what I need everybody to do is on the count of 3, say the magic words, open sesame. You ready? 1, 2, 3.
Open sesame.
Very good. My magic room. We'll talk about the psychology of magic, not how it works, but why it works. Now, I got to tell you something. When I was coming up with this talk, early on, it occurred to me that I could just stand up here and lie to you. I could tell you anything I wanted to, do some cool magic tricks, and you would believe here, believing I told you about the psychology of magic when I haven't said anything. But tonight, I promise that everything I tell you will be true. Mostly. Mostly. That's for you to figure out. You see, part of my job description is I'm a liar and a cheat. As a matter of fact, recently, in a very public forum on the internet, somebody was trying to put me down by calling me a charlatan and a trickster. How cool is that? Right? If you're in a regular business and somebody calls you a liar, a cheat, a charlatan, and a trickster, it devastates you. I put it on my resume, you know? It's great. So like I said, I've been doing magic since I was 14 years old. That's me. That's my dad's leisure suit jacket. This is the first picture I ever had in the newspaper from a community show that I was doing. Get a load of that bow tie. And yes, I was wearing sunglasses on stage. It was the 80s. What can I say? But as I started studying magic and reading magic periodicals, yeah, we have our own magazines, and I read an essay by a magician named Paul Harris. Now, Paul Harris was and still is a very prolific creator of magic for magicians. And he started talking about the moment of astonishment, the moment when a trick happens, when something disappears or when something changes in your hand. It's that exact moment that the magic happens in your mind. As a matter of fact, this is about the audience, by the way. This is the best audience is intelligent, well-educated, and a little drunk. So I think I've hit the jackpot here tonight. But Paul Harris's quote said, "Astonishment is our natural state of mind." What he meant by that was when we're born, we have a clean slate. We have no preconceived notions, right? As we grow up, everything we see for the first time is magical and astonishing. The first time we see a flower, the first time we smell a flower, every experience is magical. But as we continue to grow up, we learn the names for like 10,000 different things. We learn who we are and who we're supposed to be. We learn the difference between right and wrong, which can vary greatly depending on who's teaching us that lesson. And every one of those things that we learn, we build a little box for. And we put these boxes in our mind and we start stacking them up and they block this natural astonishment. Then all of a sudden the magic boy comes along and does a trick for you, and something disappears or something happens, and you try to put it in a box, but there's no box there for that thing. And that's when the boxes come down, and you're left with that childlike feeling of astonishment. But then, of course, Paul said that actually the astonishment feeling can be left open for, depending on the person, about 10 seconds is about max. And then you start building new boxes. He put it up his sleeve. It's done with mirrors. I don't know how it's done, but it's a trick, right? And then the boxes go back up. And I believe that's why when I do magic, people always say, do another one, do another one, do one more. Because they want to feel that moment, that childlike moment of pure astonishment again. In conclusion, this was cool. He said, astonishment is not an emotion that's created, and it's an existing state that's revealed. And I really like that a lot. So as I continued learning about magic, I came across another quote. And I actually just discovered this one a few years ago. And, this is me walking my dog, by the way. That's the way a magician walks his dog. Yeah. But the quote is, the second principle of magic, things which have once been in contact with each other continue to act on each other at a distance after the physical contact has been severed. Now, this book is not about magic tricks. This book is about the comparison between mythology and religion. But it really hit me when the part about things which have once been in common with each other continue to act on each other at a distance after the physical contact has been severed. Now, I'll give you an example of that. When somebody sees me do a magic trick and they bring a friend back and they want to see the same magic trick, they never say exactly what happened. They go from point A to point Z and they forget all the little things that happen in the middle. It's easier for me to demonstrate this with this coin, an old coin, and a pencil. Oh, by the way, this table can float. That's all I'm going to say about that. A coin and a pencil. Watch this. This is the vanishing coin trick. I'll stand back so everybody can see it. The vanishing coin trick. Don't take your eyes off the coin because it's going to disappear and you don't want to miss it when it goes. You ready? The vanishing coin trick. I'll use this pencil as my impromptu magic wand. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's the pencil that disappears. Oh, wait. It's actually right here. That's when the coin goes. And that. Perfect. All of his boxes just dropped. That's the moment of astonishment. So that's a perfect example. When somebody comes back and asks me to do that trick again, if there's a little time between it, they'll say, do that trick for my friend where you put the coin in your hand and it just disappears. And it's impossible for me to do that. So I bring out this pencil and they don't know what I'm doing. So the coin's over here. I'll show you this one. It's in my pocket. Okay? So first of all, when I do this, I'm breaking one of the very first rules of magic. I'm telling you what I'm going to do before I do it. Usually you don't want to do that. You want to keep the element of surprise. But I'm telling you that I'm going to make this coin disappear. And I'm telling you that because I want you to watch that and only that. But this time, don't watch the coin. Try not to watch it. The eye follows movement, so it's actually kind of difficult. But don't watch the coin. Watch the pencil. Watch the pencil. Here we go. So the coin's going to disappear. 1, 2, 3. It's right here. Now, I get that first moment of astonishment when the pencil's gone. Then I start moving my hand. Now the eye follows movement naturally. So I keep this hand still for right now. I start bringing my finger up. Your eye follows it. Now try not to follow my finger. Watch the coin. As I come up, I call your attention. You're surprised to see the pencil, the second moment of astonishment. As I'm doing that, I turn my body and just drop the coin in my pocket. But in your mind, there's still a coin in my hand. And then I do this and the coin disappears. And that's the moment the magic happens. So that's what I mean. People go from point A to point Z and just remember the coin vanishing and don't remember anything else. You can do that for your friends. Just practice. So the very personal experience I had with this exact principle was when I was a kid, my uncle did a card trick for me. And the way I remember it is he spread the cards out. I took a card. I looked at it. He told me what the card was. I was about 6 years old. About 20 years later, when I was in my mid-20s, I asked him, to do that card trick for me again. I suddenly remembered it. He did it, and it wasn't anything like I remembered it. And I really wish that I wouldn't have asked him to do it again, because it turned out to be a very basic card trick that I learned when I was just starting out in magic. So that's about how the mind perceives magic and kind of goes ahead and forgets all the little details that's in between. Now, the easiest person to fool is a scientist. Now, who do you think the most difficult person to fool is? No? A child. A child. A child, because a child has no preconceived notions. When something disappears, when the pencil disappears, a scientist or any adult, actually, I just say scientist to be more dramatic, but any adult, we think in our mind for a second, we go, oh, it disappeared. A kid just goes, oh, it's not there anymore. So a kid will immediately, and I'm talking when I say a kid, like a 2-year-old. I love doing tricks for like little 2-year-old kids because I can see what's exactly happening when I watch their eyes. They see it, and then they immediately start looking around for the pencil. It's not there. It must be there, you know? And it's great. So it's not great for me, but I mean, it's the kid figures it out really easy. So that's how we grow and we start to perceive things a little bit differently. Now, this was taken to an extreme with the scientist fooling thing in the 70s. This is called Project Alpha. This guy, James Randi, found these 2 young guys, Steve Shaw and Mike Edwards. And has anybody heard of this? Have you heard of this? You've heard of it? Yeah, Amazing. Yeah, that's the Amazing Randi. Have you heard of Project Alpha? Okay. Well, Amazing Randi is still around. He's a very big skeptic, and he's got $1 million check that he has offered to anybody that can do a psychic demonstration that he can't duplicate using a magic trick. And so far, nobody's ever won the check. He was really big. He was going after Uri Geller. You know Uri Geller. He was the spoon-bending, the psychic back in the 70s. So he gets these 2 guys who are already doing psychic magic, and he sends them into different universities to their psychic research centers. And he has them fool the scientists. Well, they put them under test conditions, but nobody knew what the test should be. All they did was they watched them really close. And after 2 years, they concluded that they were real psychics. And then Randi holds this big press conference and says, no, they're magicians, right? And it really rocked the scientific world and made them think about, that's what he wanted, to make them think about things differently when they research psychic phenomena. And one of the things they did is they went in with just a couple of forks. Go ahead, just take a look at those forks. Just make sure they're regular forks. All right?
Yep,
all right.
Solid forks.
Hand me one, whichever one you don't want.
I
All right.
want this one.
Okay. What's your name?
Michael.
Michael. All right. Do me a favor. Just if you can extend your hand out like this, just put the fork in your hand like that. Just hold it right there. Just like that, and put your finger, hold it down so it doesn't roll out of your hand. And start to rub it just right there with your fingertip. Just start to rub it. Now, if you watch mine, what's kind of interesting, watch mine as I rub it. It actually looks like it starts to move. You can see that. Actually, if you let me see your fork. You notice there's quite a bit of difference in the 2 now. If you can just take that one back. All I have to do is just give this one a little rub like this, and let you go back right to its original position. Now, when they were doing these effects, a lot of magicians do the bend right about here. But what they did was they took it and they started shaking it like this. And this is what really confused the scientists, because they were looking here, and all of a sudden, it started bending here. Then they didn't even touch it. They just threw it in the air, and it came down. Bent. They said, you know, it's okay. Everybody knows that if you take a fork and you just bend it like that, you can straighten it out. And then they just concentrated. Watch this. And give it a little shake. And the fork started to turn. Now, of course, I could just be twisting this with my fingers. But watch the head of the fork. Watch the top. Just turn, turn, turn. And you can see it's totally twisted. Just like that. And you try to take that bend down, you won't be able to do it. So that was some of the effects that they did for the scientists. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. So when I was studying magic, though, my favorite magician was always Harry Houdini. the famous magician and escape artist. And he said, what the eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes. Now, I want to try something, a little experiment with everybody here. What I want you to do is I want you to take your fingers and clasp them together like this. Everybody do that. All right? And then take your index fingers, clasp your hands really tight, and then take your index fingers and point them up like this. All right? Now, in just a second, don't do it yet, but in just a second, I'm going to ask you to take your index fingers and pull them apart as far as you can and keep them open. All right? So go ahead, pull them apart now. Pull them apart like this. All right? Now, I want you to look at your fingers. Imagine that I'm wrapping a thread around your fingers. And I'm starting to wrap that thread tighter and tighter and tighter. I'm starting to pull that thread tighter. Try to keep them apart. Look at your fingers. Just watch them. That thread will keep getting tighter and tighter and tighter as they gently start to drift together. Yours are already touching. Yeah? Yours are getting close. Just keep thinking of that thread getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. He's really trying hard. This is good. This is good. Keep it up. Yep. Getting tighter. And by now, if their fingers haven't touched, they should be quite a bit closer together by now. Is that right? Yeah. Now, okay, this is a physical thing, but what I'm doing, what the eyes see and the ears hear, the mind believes. What I'm doing is I'm giving you this suggestion that a visual that I'm wrapping this thread around your fingers. That's in your mind's eye. That's what you're seeing. And then I'm telling you, I'm saying your fingers are getting closer together. The thread's getting tighter. And then they pull together. So that's an example of how to make your mind to give it suggestions to help along something that's naturally going to happen anyway. Now, a little while ago, I told you that this table would float. Now, I don't know what you thought when I said that, but I wanted to say it early on. I'm going to tell you something else now about it. This coin that I had, this is really an old silver dollar from 1880. It's a magic coin that my grandfather used to carry around. He gave to me. I'm going to place this inside this box on the table. Now, I want to show you a picture of my grandfather, Walter Grant Freestone. It's really him. He was a trickster. I heard lots of great stories about it. And my mom told me they used to play a game when she was a kid where her dad and her would stand on either side of a table and they would chant, "Rise, table, rise. Rise, table, rise." Some people are shaking their heads. Maybe you've played this game. And that the table would go up. So I started playing around with that in my mind. And I want to try to play that game tonight to give somebody a feeling of astonishment. What's your name? Danny, could you help me? Would you mind helping me? Give Danny a nice round of applause. Danny, what I want you to do is I just want you to stand right there. Put your hands out just like this. Okay? Right there. Okay? When you take a look, the coin is in the box. Yeah? The coin is in the box. Okay? Watch. Put your hand down here. Hold on to this corner. Just the tips of the tablecloth. And I'm going to do the same thing. Now, I've showed you the coin. I've told you what's going to happen. I've got the picture of my grandfather up here, and I've got some nice music playing. What could possibly happen next? Ready, Danny? Just say with me. Rise, table, rise. 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 Keep saying it. Watch. Take a look. Look underneath. Yeah? Go ahead. Raise, table, rise. Rise, 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 table. Oh, it's going down. Say one more time. Rise, table, rise. Whoa! Wait. I don't know if there's much space. Move with it. Can you move around with it? It's starting to turn, Danny. All right. Keep moving. Keep moving. Move back that way. You okay? All right. Watch the screen there. Don't say anything now. Let the table gently. glide back down. Come here. Give Danny a nice round of applause. Thank you. Thanks. I don't want you to miss out. So we'll do it one more time for you and everybody else. Watch. Rise, table rise. Watch. Whoa! Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Steve Marshall. Next time you see a magician, sit back, relax, and be astonished. Thank you. Good night. Thanks. Thank you.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Steve. Are there
You're welcome.
questions for Steve?
Any questions? Except for... What's that? What about the coin? Yeah, it's still in the box. Yeah. Hey, you want it? No, it's over. It's over here. It's a magic coin. I got a trick knee. Anyway, thank you. Yes.
What's the strangest reaction you got from an audience when showing a trick like this? What's the most dramatic thing that actually happened to somebody watching?
It's funny with stuff like with stuff that floats, and I do a trick where a card rises up out of a box. I've had people run away and scream. I mean, literally. I've had to discuss this with some religious people and some pastors that I had, because they told me that I should never call myself a magician, call myself an illusionist. And I've had other people say that, that I was in league with the devil for doing this stuff. I had some people, I was doing a show. Years ago, as a kid, I was working at a shopping mall doing card tricks. And it was a Sunday afternoon, and some people came up to me after church, and this guy got all over me and going, "You shouldn't be playing with cards. It's the devil's pasteboards, and blah, 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 blah." And I go, "Pick a card. I'm just doing that. I'm just doing card tricks, man." So yeah, I have had some of that before. And, here's a weird thing. Here's an interesting with the fork bending thing. This has only happened in Japan, but I work at magic bars, and I'll go up to a table and I'll do card tricks and some coin tricks and stuff like that, and then I'll finish with the fork bending. And then they'll look at me and they'll go, "Oh, the card tricks and the coin tricks were magic, but the fork thing is real, right?" And the first time I heard it, I didn't know how to respond, because I don't want to say yes, but I don't want to say no, It's like, I don't want to take away that astonishment from them, because actually, even with adults, when they really believe in a trick, and you tell them, I tried it once. I tried telling somebody exactly how it worked. And look, the face was just like I told a kid there was no Santa Claus. It was the same exact thing. It's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let me do another one," So I get a lot of weird reactions like that. People think that it's real, and that surprises me. And so it still does, actually.
Are you astonished when you watch other magicians, or are you able to see what they're doing and kind of see through the show?
Good question. Yes and no. When I go to see a magic show, one of the things that's funny, I've been doing magic since I was 8 years old. I'm 51 now, so you do the math. I've been doing magic tricks for a long time. And when I go to a magic show, even after all these years, I remain a huge fan of magic. I love magic. It's my passion. I love to watch other magicians. A lot of times I watch their presentation if they're doing some of the same stuff that I know. But every once in a while, I'll see somebody who's come up with something new, something that I've never seen before, and yes, I get that feeling of astonishment. Now here's something even more interesting. I've given it to myself on occasions. This is weird, but I'll be doing a card trick, and if the audience is just right, all the stars are aligned, everything's perfect, and everything's going great, I'll forget where I am. And I'll get so into the trick that when the person turns the card over or whatever, and it's their card, I get it too. It doesn't happen that often. It's really cool when it does. And it kind of throws me a little bit, you know. But yeah, yes.
How do you learn your tricks? Since, you know, this is a secret, right? So how do you learn?
Well, there's no Hogwarts Academy or anything like that. But, well, there are, you know, I tell you, when I was a kid, I got a magic kit. And this is what a lot of parents come to me and they say, our kids are interested in magic. I say, get them a little magic kit that you can buy in any toy store. And that'll let you know if they really want to keep doing it. Because magic can be expensive. You know, it's like you gotta buy props and all this stuff too. So that's the way I started. And then I started checking out books in the library. That's why every book report I did in school was about Houdini. And what I realized, what I learned was, that meant I could read any magic book in the library and tell the teacher, no, I'm doing my book report. You know, I'm learning card tricks, you know. So I started reading books. You can go to the library. The information's out there. You just got to dig for it. You got to know where it is. And then I joined a magic club when I was a kid, and that's when it really took off. And I met other older magicians who did then take me under their wing and teach me the real secrets and the real sleight of hand techniques. So.
Is that how it works? Is it an apprenticeship kind of model? Everyone
kind of really. Here in Japan, it really does. You know, I mean, it's the whole, you know, Karate Kid thing. I know magicians in Japan that have gone through the apprenticeship where the magician, they became their apprentice, and during the day they cooked, they cleaned, they did their laundry, they did everything, and then they studied magic with them for 2 hours at night. And that was their life for they do that for 5 years. And then at the end of it in Japan, they actually take the name of their teacher. So the name is, there's a lineage of names that have been handed down over the years. For me, it was just, I joined a magic club. My two teachers, I had two great teachers. One was a really incredible, accomplished sleight of hand artist, still is, and the other one was a clown. And so I actually learned the comedy side and the magic side, and I put it together, and I wound up traveling with a circus for 5 years as a clown, is what I did right out of high school. Yeah. So yes, there's many different ways to learn.
Much like the Amazing Randy, do you believe that Uri Geller is a fraud?
What's that?
Do you believe that Uri Geller is a fraud, much like the...
Yeah, well, he's a magician. I mean, he's not... You know, it's funny because he's recently come out and said that he's a magician. He actually did a lecture at a magic convention about 2 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, he did a magic lecture and said, I'm a magician. And a lot of magicians are really mad at him still because for years he wouldn't admit it. And, you know, he was, you know, there's a line. You know, there's people like him, there's psychics. I don't want to get into this because, I'm a huge skeptic. I've never seen anything that I can't do with a magic trick, right? So I don't believe in fortune tellers. I don't believe in any of that stuff because I've never seen anything done that I can't explain somehow. And what I don't like, and this is the whole James Randi thing, is I don't like when they're pulling the wool over people's eyes and taking their money. You know, when spirit mediums, when somebody dies and they take somebody who's in mourning and just wants one more last word with their husband, and so these people find out all this information. This is a whole other talk anyway, but, you know, so Uri Geller's a magician. Well, Houdini, that was his whole mission. The last years of his life was debunking psychics. Yeah, and it was great. Oh, I'm sorry, do I have a second? This is great. It was a great thing where Houdini would put disguises on, right? And he'd go into these seances, right? And nobody knew who he was. And he'd sit there, and then he'd wait till the blackout happened. The blackout in the seance is when the ghosts start flying and stuff like that. And then he'd pull out a flare, a road flare in the dark. And he'd strike the flare, and he'd pull his wig off, and he goes, I am the great Houdini, and you're a fraud! You know, he couldn't just go, oh, this is fake. You know, he had to be theatrical about it. Yeah. Yes?
Is there any difference between a magician and mentalist?
Oh, that's a fine line. And, you know, in the magic and mentalism world, there's a lot of fighting about that. You know, pure mentalists don't want to use magic tricks, but they are using magic tricks. And, you know, there is. There's a difference in the presentation. You know, a magician is, you know, when you think of a magician, he's like big, flamboyant. You know, it's like the Siegfried and Roy or David Copperfield. Where a mentalist is somebody who's getting into your mind. They do stuff with mind reading things and psychic abilities. That's just the performance style is the basic difference. A lot of the techniques are the same. Yes.
What differences do you see in the audience worldwide? You mentioned the Japanese audiences are a little bit different. What do you see in other countries?
Well, I do comedy magic. So the differences I see are in the big reactions. I worked for Disney for 6 years. I worked at Disney World in Florida, and then I came over to work at Tokyo Disneyland. And I had an interesting experience because I worked on the exact same stage. It's called the Diamond Horseshoe Revue. It's in Western Land. It's an old Western saloon, right? And when Tokyo Disneyland was built, each of the other Disney parks gave them a present. And what Florida gave them was the blueprints, the plans for the Diamond Horseshoe stage. So the Diamond Horseshoe in Disneyland, California, and Florida are basically the same, but they're reversed. The bar's on the other side. Tokyo and Florida is the exact same room. So the last show I did in Florida was on that stage. I saw the curtains close. The next show I did was on the exact same stage. The curtains opened. The only difference was all Japanese people, right? So bizarre, so weird. But I had to get used to that. I had to get used to that a lot. It's just they don't laugh. They don't, in America, they're laughing and screaming. And in Japan, it depends on the part of Japan even you're in. They're not as boisterous. I was up in Hokkaido doing a show one time in a little country place, and I thought they hated me. It was just quiet, and all the other performers gave them a nickname, Ushi-sama, the cow people, because they just sit. That was the whole show. And 30-minute show. I'm sweating. I'm thinking, I'm going through stuff fast. I think they hate me. Then I finish the show and they go, oh, and they come up and they want to shake my hands. And I was told that they were being polite. My manager said, well, they're being polite. They don't want to interrupt you by clapping or laughing or going, please interrupt me a little bit, And so that took a lot of, and it was like that for the whole run there. And I really never got used to it. Even though I knew it, it was really difficult for that. And then, of course, there's cultural differences in every country you go. I get in trouble all the time. I'll go to a country and I'll say something, I'll do something. I was in Dubai and you couldn't make any references to drinking at all. The royal family would come and sit on a couch and they said, don't pick the family to help out. Don't look at them. Don't breathe on them. Don't give them any attention. It's like, And then it was kind of sad because I'd run out in the audience to get a kid to help me with a trick, and the royal family's kids were like going, pick me, but I couldn't, so it was kind of, but, I didn't, because I like my hands or whatever, so, yeah. So there's a lot of differences in audiences around the world, and you really got to get used to, what it is. But interestingly enough, magic is a very universal thing. Like when I go to any country, if I can't speak a word of their language, I can do a card trick, pantomime, silently, and they understand it. I did a show in China. I was on a TV show in China that was broadcast to 100 million people. I didn't speak a word of Chinese. But at the end, I did comedy, and they loved it, and I wound up getting the top rating of the whole week. Because they understood the humor, and they understood the magic. And so that seems to be a universal thing. Yeah. Okay.
You talked about it a little bit earlier with your two teachers, and then again, saying that you're a comedy magician.
Uh-huh.
What are your thoughts about pairing the straight magic with the presentation aspect?
I think it's important. I think it's really important. There's so many thoughts on this because some magicians will say the entertainment is more important than the technique. Others will say the technique's more important than the entertainment. I personally think that they're both even. Maybe entertainment a little bit more because I've seen some really great magicians who are much better than me at sleight of hand who are really boring, and I've seen some other guys that were really terrible at magic, but they were comedy magicians, I think it needs to be balanced because I think if you're going to call yourself a magician, I know a lot of guys that are comedy magicians that can't do close-up magic, card tricks and coin tricks, which is where the real sleight of hand comes in. That's the real technical stuff. And I do that stuff all the time. I love doing that because I love everything about magic. But yeah, I think a combination is important. And I think I was very lucky to have those two teachers because my clown magician friend wasn't very good at magic, technically. And my magician teacher wasn't really funny. But I learned a lot from both of them. Yes.
Where's good to watch comedy? To watch magic in Tokyo?
What's that?
Where should we go to watch magic in Tokyo?
Well, there's a lot of magic bars. Interesting. That's very unique to Japan. There's a lot of them in the Ginza. I work at two places, and I'm not there all the time, but there's a place called Juji and Juniji. And it has nothing to do with what time they open. Everyone, is that what time they open? I think that was a bad choice on their part. But yeah, there's two, Juji and Juniji. They're kind of bigger places. It's like a drink. You go in, you have all you can drink for 2 hours. You get a couple of magicians come and do close-up magic, and then they have a small stage. So it's really a nice rounded place. You see close-up magic and a stage show. So I would say look up Juji and Juniji. One's in Marunouchi and one's in Shimbashi. So, and ask if I'm working. I mean, ask when I'm working, because I'm usually there at least a few times a month. I'm there on Wednesday. So, Juniji, next Wednesday night, the 28th, I'll be there. So if you want to come, please do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Round of applause for Steve.
Thank you. Thank you.